call the closed session meeting to order at 5. We're going to call the closed meeting session to order at 5:30 p.m., January 27, 2025. Mr. Fonte, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance,
It would be
please?
my pleasure. The hand over your heart facing the flag. Repeat with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Aruna,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Elizabeth Aruna,
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any public communications for our forthcoming meeting? Seeing none, we'll go to our clerk. Would you please read the action for the
Certainly.
Departure.
Conference, 2A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code, Section 54956.9D1. Name of case, South Coast Property Company, 13B LP v. City of Solvang et al., case number 22/CB-00254. Item B, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1. Name of case, City of Solvang petition to change water right permit 15878, application number A022423, under protest by California Trout and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's National Marine Fisheries Service, and comment by California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Item C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2, 2 potential cases.
Thank you. We will adjourn to closed session. Any reportable action? Our attorney's not here, but I'll tell you, there was no reportable action. Craig? Would you tell us if there's any reportable action from our closed session, please?
Mayor, the council met in closed session regarding all 4 of the posted agenda items. The attendees also included Dan Parlow and Dave Fleischman from our office to discuss those matters. All council members were present, but the council took no reportable action and took reports from staff only.
Thank you. With that being said, we're going to close we'll adjourn from our closed session, and we'll start up again in 5 minutes for the open session. Thank you. Good evening. We'll start our meeting here for the Solvang City Council at 6:30. I'm Dave Brown, Mayor, and roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Arona, absent. Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
Would Craig Kent be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of proclamations for this evening, if we'll start with that. We have one here for Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Whereas human trafficking is a form of modern slavery that occurs in every state, including California, wherein victims are forced to work in various forms of labor, exploitation, including but not limited to commercial sex acts and other services that are induced through force, fraud, or coercion. And whereas, due to its isolated and discrete nature, many individuals across the globe are unaware that trafficking exists in their communities. And whereas it is estimated that more than 28 million people around the world are victims of human trafficking, and whereas the Santa Barbara County Human Trafficking Task Force is committed to using all applicable laws and resources for investigating human trafficking and prosecuting those engaged in it, and whereas the Santa Barbara County Human Trafficking Task Force has worked diligently to bring awareness to the fact that human trafficking occurs closer to home than one might think, that California ranks #1 in the country for reported human trafficking cases, and that Santa Barbara County is home to hundreds of survivors of trafficking and exploitation. And whereas Human Trafficking Awareness Month is an opportunity to recognize the critical role of all Santa Barbara County residents play in preventing, reporting, and adjudicating this heinous crimes. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor David Brown, along with the City Council of the City of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in the City of Solvang, and I call this observance to the attention of all our citizens. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and have caused the official seal of the City of Solvang, California, to be affixed this 27th day of January 2025. And we have a recipient of this, Ann McCarthy, is that correct? Thank you for all the efforts you do, and I'm going to present this to you and allow you to make a few comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
So good evening, Mayor Brown and members of the City Council. I'm Ann McCarty, Executive Director of the North County Rape Crisis and Child Protection Center. Tonight, however, I stand before you as a proud member of a strong coalition, the Santa Barbara County Human Trafficking Task Force. Our task force is a collaborative effort bringing together dedicated individuals and organizations, including representatives from the District Attorney's Office, all law enforcement agencies in the county, Homeland Security, community-based organizations, the Interfaith Collaborative, and many, many others. Together, we work tirelessly to eradicate human trafficking in Santa Barbara County and hold those who exploit the vulnerable accountable for their actions. While we are proud of the progress that we've made over the past decade, we know that our work is far from over. This proclamation recognizing January as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in the City of Solvang sends a powerful message. It tells traffickers that this city is watching. It demonstrates that you, as city leaders, are committed to ensuring there is no place in this community for the atrocities of trafficking. Your proclamation also signifies that you stand with us in our efforts to educate, intervene, and protect. So on behalf of the entire task force, I thank you for recognizing the work that we do and for your unwavering support as we strive to safeguard the individuals in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish no such proclamation was necessary, but I'm glad you're here to do what you can. Okay, we have one more proclamation for Black History Month. Whereas each year Black History Month is observed in February, and whereas the origins of Black History Month date back to 1915 when Dr. Carter Woodson founded the organization known today as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, and whereas observing Black History Month provides opportunities to gain a deeper understanding of African American history and acknowledge the centuries of struggles for equality and freedom, and whereas Black History Month also celebrates the achievements and contributions that African Americans have made in shaping our country, society, and communities, and whereas every year the Association for the Study of African American Life and History sets a theme for Black History Month, and the theme for 2025 is African Americans and Labor, and whereas this year's Black History Month theme is a call to recognize the significant role that Black labor has played in shaping American communities, rights, and industries. It also recognizes the impact of Black people's work in building communities, churches, social clubs, and organizations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, David Brown, along with the city of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month and urge all citizens to join in the month-long observance. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and have caused this official seal of the city of Solvang to be affixed to this 27th day of January 2025. But I don't believe we have a recipient today. So anyway, we are now celebrating Black History Month for the month of February. Thank you. Okay, that concludes the presentations. We now have a presentation for marketing and tourism by JPA. Is that right?
TJA. Actually, we've got all of our marketing partners here, and it's an interesting review of the fourth quarter, as well as, I believe, a little bit of the full year. Have a slideshow for each of them. First, we'll ask up John from TJA to step to the microphone and share his report.
Thank you. Good evening. I guess congratulations are in order. Mayor Brown
Thank you.
and Councilmember Smith, look forward to working with you. And Mayor Infante, congratulations on your election. And Councilmember Aroni, congratulations on not having to run.
It's the best kind of all.
Exactly. So I'll be brief. I know that we've got a lot on your agenda. So first of all, just wanted to go through, this is our quarterly update. We come every quarter to present to you what our marketing has done. And I also have on the Zoom call for any questions is Rick Turton, who works on our website, as well as Tom Walker, who's also a website, predominantly the main lead on the website. And then Claudia, who is our social media manager. She's also on the line. So, but I'll go through this for them, and again, if there's any questions. So first slide is the website design project highlights. So starting with October, we updated for the fall season, including events, event calendar, new blog posts throughout the month. And then we developed a little guide that's called Know Before You Go. This was to have people to be able to have something if they're planning on coming to Solvang, that they would be able to plan ahead of time. And we developed this kind of from scratch, but we had quite a few downloads on it, which I'll report in a minute. And it was just another way to get website sessions and also provide the visitor with ample information about all the great things to do in the city. We also designed a newsletter pop-up, which basically is an ad that occurs on the website, on the homepage. It's pretty benign, it goes away, you know, it doesn't really interfere with them getting on the website, but we've seen a nice increase on our website, our email newsletter subscriptions. And so we were getting maybe 10 or 15 a month, we're now getting about 300 a month. So it really did increase. And for November, we also improved the Google accessibility score and set up ADA widget on site, which helps us comply with all the ADA requirements. And we're in really good shape with Google there, 98%. And then November, the updates for the Yule Fest season throughout the month, including graphics, blogs, and banners. So we obviously marketed that very heavily. We also assisted in developing collateral materials, so like I said, a poster and some other things that were necessary to promote it. And we redesigned the wine pages, and also did content for search engine optimization, helping that along as well. And also did the Thomas Dambo troll landing page for that future event. And then in December, continued with Yule Fest promotions with posters and flyer updates as sponsorships changed and things like that. So we currently kept those up to date. And Candace did a great job on getting us all of those, and as things changes, and Randy as well. And we updated sponsorship and events, as I mentioned, and then we created a development area for testing new features. So this is basically a staging area that's not live on the website, but where we can plan and make sure everything working properly before we go live with it. So that helps us in the planning, and also doesn't create any issues with the website. It can all be pre-tested. The website sessions, this is the next slide, please, is really good. So we had, this is year over year from this time last year. I will tell you that one of the reasons why we had such huge percentage of lodging referrals, we hadn't really fully taken over in October. So this was like a little bit of October was kind of what happened before last year. And then this year is a reflection of us now doing the website and having it run smoothly and everything. So we had over 41% increase in sessions, almost 500,000. Page views were 850,000, which is a 29% increase. And the lodging referrals, because they were never promoted before on the website, we had over 242%. Still a good number, though, even with the low base number for October. And the Yule Fest page views were over 250,000, 253,000, and that's up 33% from last Yule Fest. And so downloads, people really love maps, and so we've been working with Randy and Candace on developing maps that people can download. So we have a walking map. We had close to 4,500 people download that map and utilize it. The city map, we had almost 1,700 people download that. And I mentioned earlier about the Know Before You Go guide. We had close to 1,200 people download that. So that ended up being real successful for us. So the lodging referrals I spoke about, I know that it's important to know what type of ROI we get from these lodging referrals. We've given you this formula before. I'll just go through it again for this quarter. And again, this is because, of the Yule Fest and all of the busyness of the city at this time of year. So we had lodging referrals were up, for the 3-month program, we had 47,442 lodging referrals off of the website directly to the hoteliers and motels. And if you use a 30% look-to-book ratio, which look-to-book means how many of those people that we referred, how much did they actually book? And 30% is a pretty conservative number. It's hard to determine, but we've asked people in other destinations what theirs are. Some go as high as 50%. So we're anticipating a 30% look-to-book ratio. That would end up being, we had over 14,233 reservations. You say 2 nights average length of stay. That's 28,466 room nights. Sorry, there's a lot of figures here. And then if we say an average daily rate, which again is, I think, fairly conservative at $225 per night, we have over 6,404,000 possible reservations made from the website lodging. Referrals, if you take the referrals at a 12% TOT rate, that would equate out to $766,582 revenue to the city off of just the TOT. Not to mention people staying in the hotels, also being aware of our restaurants and our businesses in town too are all promoted along with that as well. So for social media, digital marketing highlights, our monthly meta ads, our average cost per click was 17 cents. The average normally is around 63 cents, so it's a very low number. Our average number of clicks per ad was over 15,000. And the monthly e-blast average open rate was really high, 43%, which is really strong. And the industry average there, you see, is 20%, so we were well above that. And our local hood stories, which we create in conjunction with the social media, the part that we do, had an interaction rate of 69%, which is really high. We also ran a dedicated newsletter. This was launched in November 19th to support winter lodging specials as well as Yule Fest. We sent over, this is Visit California sent, I should say, they sent over 203,602 to their subscriber list. This is, again, Visit California. We had an open rate of 102,135 people. And then the open rate there was really good, was 50%. So one out of every two people opened our email newsletter that was issued by Visit California. And then clicks to the lodging specials page were over 3,107 just from that newsletter. And we have a good partnership with Visit California. We do several things with them. We launched a fall/winter campaign on the Bay Area News Group. This was it started in late September and ended at the end of December. We had these are different types of tactics we use. So like search was basically some of the digital banner ads, which had over 84,000 impressions. We had 11,000 clicks. That's mean people that clicked back to the website off of these ads. Our cost per average rate was 13%, and then also cost per click was 90 cents, which is above a low figure compared to industry standards. We had a total conversions of over 21,492. And then Facebook, this again is utilizing the Bay Area News Group's Facebook. We had over 1.5 million impressions. We had a really good number for the link clicks, over 20,000. And the cost per click was $129, and the total conversions was 363. And then the banner ads that we did, they netted us, we didn't spend a whole lot of money on these, but we did get over 417 impressions with 210 clicks, and then an average of 0.5. And then native ads, which would basically be kind of like a story that would be on their website. And again, we only ran one of these, but in that one, we got over 333 impressions with 348 clicks. And kind of the Bay Area News updates. So just to give you an idea of like I mentioned about comparisons for industry standard of how our campaign did. We had this click-through rate, which was well above industry standards. Normally, it's 3 to 6%, and we had 13%. The cost per click was 90 cents, as I mentioned earlier, and that normally is around $1.50 to $3 a click. So we had a really low figure there, and then cost per engagement is exceptionally strong. Partly due to the campaign was set up for retargeting. So in other words, we went back to people who had expressed an interest, and we hit them one more time about booking their stay and coming to Solvang, whether it be for the holidays or for the lodging specials or both. And then the Facebook, as I mentioned, always performs really well on their site. The 129 was the average there is about 0.90. And conversions was well within delivering the results that normally we would look for. And will consider to use Facebook campaigns and social media with all of the media that we do use, because that seems to always be the strongest. And then also we combine with them. It's like we'll do like what they call a handshake, where our social media shakes hands with them, and we both share our audiences. And so obviously they've got the bigger one than we do, but it goes right to our social media. And then search campaigns, we produce really good results there. Facebook averages, the display campaigns, and then the local native campaigns, as I mentioned. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions?
Out of curiosity, a couple questions. You're showing a lot of reservations in the hotels through your website. I'm curious how that interfaces with the Visit San Ynez Valley hotel reservations. Is there any link? Is it a competition? There's just, you're doing your own thing.
We're pretty much, I mean, we collaborate with them on co-op and things like that. But as you recall, pretty much every lodging property that's on our website now is in Solvang. So these are direct, and we only refer to Solvang properties.
And of course, they do the whole valley, so yeah.
But I
Thank
mean, these go specifically to each hotel or motel. These are actually referrals that went directly to a property. Because what we do is we run an ad, we take them to the landing page for the lodging referrals, and then they make their choice of what property they want to investigate, and then hopefully book. Because we don't have a booking engine on our website, so it's still booking directly with the hotel. That would be
So you're just taking them to the hotel website where they book it there?
correct.
Got it. Okay.
Well, we're taking them to a landing page, and then they click on whatever property they want to investigate there, because all the properties that offer specials are on that landing page. There's a link directly to their website.
The landing page is the one that has the carousel of,
Pardon me?
the landing page that has the carousel of hotel properties.
I believe so, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, the landing page specifically talks about lodging specials. So whatever holiday, whatever season it is, we talk about when we get into an off-season as opposed to for Yule Fest, then we talk about discounts that people can attain. Also, we promote midweek specials as well. And a lot of it is important for the lodging industry to embrace it, which I'm happy to say they have. It took a little time, but I think everybody realizes this is another really good source for business.
You also put in here that you're doing city maps and, I forget the other one, couple different kinds of maps.
But there's a city map, and then there's a
Trail
map, a walking map,
Walking map.
and that's when we created.
Those
City
are
map
all
is just-
online though, right?
Pardon me?
Those are all online, so you
They're
can
on our
download them, put
website.
them on your phone, walk around with it.
Yeah, they can download it and print it if they like, or put it on their phone.
I'm curious if that has any impact on the maps that we give out of the visitor center.
No, I think it only might enhance it just because people know that it exists, but it just gives them another opportunity to get it. So like say I'm planning a trip and I'm on the website and I'm trying to peruse around what I want to do, and I go, oh great, there's a map. I want to print that out and take that with me. I think people still enjoy having something in their hand, although I have to say a lot of it's on their phone. But there is something to be said about having a piece of paper that you can actually, take with you and look at. So we still believe in doing that too. And it does save on printing because it's downloaded by them, so it's not something we have to print and refill that all the time.
Right. Thank you very much.
I had a question on page 13. What's our ROI on that, those banner ads?
Page 13.
It's Bay Area News Group Winter Fall Campaign, Fall Winter Campaign. I
And
think
this is for the banner ads?
Yes, for Bay Area.
It's hard to say. That's really not a really remarkable number because we didn't really spend a lot on that. It's only 210 clicks. But if you look at the other ones like Facebook and those, we were like in the double digits. So the ROI basically for this campaign is how many referrals we took to the lodging specials page. Because everything we do, everything that's directed in the marketing, while also highlighting all the various businesses and wineries and restaurants and all of those, we're telling people that they need to go to the lodging special page. So like if there's an ad, you will click on, there'll be a link to click, it'll take them right to the lodging specials page. It will not go necessarily to the home page, but once they're at that lodging specials page, they're free to move around on the website too. It's it's really a strategy of, I could probably deliver a lot more sessions, But we really want to deliver you, because this is all based on TOT and revenue, is to take them to the lodging specials page.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I also have Liana from Islet. She's online, available online, and if she wants to point out anything on her.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you all.
Thanks, John. If I can find, my cursor's lost. Liana Cabrera.
Hi. Okay.
Working on getting started here. Go ahead and put the slideshow up.
Okay. We can start on page 3. Okay, here is an overview of our 3-month check-in. I'm pleased to announce that we have just under 19,000 new net followers across all of the channels, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and we have broken records this quarter. The industry average for Instagram follower growth is typically between 1% to 5% for the tourism industry, and Solvang's average is over 8%. So that's impressive. And we're just under 7 million impressions across all of the social media platforms that we're populating. Next slide. For the quarterly report here, year over year, we've outperformed every metric on every platform from last year, and we've done that with slightly less posts as well. So we've really grown to understand exactly what the Solvang audience wants to help us create content around that and also source and promote other people's content. Okay, we can skip on to the next slide. The top performing post on Instagram was this roundup of Yule Fest content from last year. So we know historically that any post with a windmill and seasonal performs really well. So we curated this based on top performers. And we had over 100,000 impressions on this post alone, and over 6,000 likes, 49 comments, and over 3,000 shares. So that's very impressive. Next slide. The top performing post for an Instagram reel, which was a video that we edited ourselves. We shot this during our last content shoot. And then we concepted it to be a roundup of sweet spots in Solvang. And right now, what Instagram is preferring is shareable content. So we put the hook on it, which is send this to someone you'd love to explore Solvang's sweetest spots with. And it encouraged a lot of people to send it to someone that they wanted to visit Solvang with. And it had over 24,000 people sharing it in the direct messages and over 770,000 views, which is incredibly impressive. Okay, next slide is the Thomas Dumbo troll performed very highly on Facebook. This one reached 683,000 accounts. We discovered that we tapped into this network of people who loved the trolls, and they were commenting with their pictures of their personal experiences and starting up conversations in the comments. So that is definitely something that my team and I are going to take to our next meeting to discuss how we can tap into this more. Okay, and then for TikTok, we sourced this user-generated content, which was a visitor post, and curated it and put it on TikTok. This one got 407,000 plays on TikTok. Okay, moving on to the Solvang community. Here you can see the comments that people are leaving, talking about just coming home from their trip, and the memories that they have about spending the holidays there, and one of the best cities in California. Okay. Our key takeaways are that across all three platforms, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, we had the highest all-time performers in this last quarter 4. Facebook was the troll. On Instagram, we had the video about sweet spots in Solvang, and TikTok, we had the Yule Fest user-generated content that we sourced. The largest reach was attributed to the troll, like I mentioned, and the Facebook groups in the community there of people who are really interacting with his work. In addition to the influencer support with Anna, we are curating and vetting collab content, which a lot of visitors come and they may not be sourced from us, but they'll come and they'll edit a reel that looks great, and we vet it and see if it is appropriate to go on the Solvang social channels. So we curate that as well. And we also wanted to note that after we shared a Trolley Light Tours video that we sourced, we were notified a week later that they were totally sold out. And that video had reached over 72,000 accounts. Okay. Quarterly projects that we worked on were influencer support with Anna. We monitored and reshared all the influencer content that during their stay. We're working on a promotion of the new troll installation, promoting all the Yule Fest activities, sourcing usable content, and then also supporting Solvang businesses in the stories. And then a market analysis. We were the only one out of all of the other local DMOs that had a monthly growth rate of over 1,000. Solvang continues to have the highest engagement rate in the industry. It's typically 1.5 to 3% for accounts that have 10,000 to 100,000 followers, and Solvang's average engagement rate in December was 2.81%. Okay, that's it.
On that last slide, why is there a downturn on the engagement from September to December?
The downturn on the engagement, it's a natural ebb and flow with engagement. Sometimes an algorithm will change, or there's a difference in content, but it is consistently outperforming the other. So you can kind of see that on the other DMOs, there was a little uptick in September, and it's declined a little bit in September, but it's still outperforming the other ones.
I have a theory on that one. I think every single one of those clicks in December was actually in town. They were here. They weren't online anymore. Felt like they were all here.
Yeah, I can look into that more and see if there's a trend that I can get an answer for.
Well, I guess my next question is, what are you going to do for an encore? How's this going to get better? Because these are good numbers.
We really want to tap into the troll community, the people who travel around and collect trolls. I was just talking to my team about it. It almost feels like the community is like Michelin star chasers. And so we want to see if we can tap into them and create content to support that installation.
How long is the Thomas Darby exhibit? I can't find that online. I'm just trying to find what is the start date and end date. So start date is February 2nd. How long is it here? It's permanent.
I don't have that answer off the top of my head.
Oh, I love this idea. I love hearing, first of all, the numbers are phenomenal. I mean, incredible acceleration and achievement. So huge compliments. I don't know how you top it. But I love hearing how y'all are echoing that you're figuring out and you're optimizing how to engage the right platforms, the right content, the right, consumer-driven content. and what we're getting the right kinds of responses with, and especially tapping into this Thomas Dambo exhibit, that there's yet another demographic that sees a tie-in or a theme or a huge scale visual, something to come drive them to town, and it's tied to a museum. I mean, and in where I thought there was going to be an endpoint, but more importantly, we're promoting it. You know, typically when we're going to see a downturn in the seasonal visits to Solvang. So yet another themed event to get people into town. That was pretty clear because I think we missed that some of the Q4 numbers have really two holidays. Like I noticed in some of your reports, October and the Halloween events got huge responses. Same thing for Yule Fest. So we had this sandwich of spikes of interest, and we need to find other things to keep that momentum throughout the whole year. But just incredible job. Excited about what's to come.
Thank you.
Hey, Leanne, if I could ask a question. We had to kind of restart our whole Facebook campaign when we all first got together a year plus ago. What are our current numbers for as followers on Facebook?
Yeah, let me see. Okay, so we currently had a growth. The net growth in Q4 was 1,700. I do not have the total there, but last year it was 950. So we've almost doubled the year-over-year net growth. I will get you the total number after this.
Okay,
but it is very hard right now too for Facebook organic engagement, and Solvang continues to blow us out of the water.
So, okay, thanks, Leanna. We have Anna from Stiletto here, along with Sue from the Visitor Center, if you want to step up.
While they're coming up, Elizabeth had talked about the Dambo presentation. There is going to be I keep trying to get my calendar back up here. There's going to be a presentation at Vets Hall on Thursday evening, and there's going to be that's an artist talk. He'll be there. And then the preview is on Saturday the 1st. This is all being at the CalNAM Museum. That's where the Dambo will be built. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. We can pull my slides up, but I'm not necessarily going to go through everything. It's not quite as exciting because I don't really have stats. It's just kind of reiterating some of the coverage that we've received. A lot of what I'm doing, well, I multitask all the time. So what you're seeing, that's defined by periods of time and events, I was already onto the troll in November. So a lot of my things, like I won't put things in here. We had an influencer who came into town over New Year's Eve. It was a doggy influencer, and I didn't put her in here, her performance, because obviously she posted after that. So again, I always say that my work is kind of like the fashion industry. I'm kind of 2 cycles ahead of where we're at currently. So it's a little bit wonky, a little bit weird. January has been tough because we couldn't really do a lot. We had to be very sensitive, obviously, to the LA communities. So even with social as well, as you noticed, we had to pause things. So it's been interesting. It's been hard trying to push the troll. Editorially, we've also had massive layoffs in November in the journalism world. We had more last week with Dotdash Meredith. So it's been interesting. The landscape for what my side of it, editorial, is changing rapidly every day. So it's just learning how to navigate things. A lot of what I do, as you already know, is coming up with copy that is then used for everything. We use it for pieces of ads and for social posts, and it just sits out there. I use it for press releases or just pitching one off. So that's a lot of what I was doing, was updating and redoing Yule Fest announcements as we got closer to the holidays, and then also making sure people had the parade winners and things like that are on the fly during the event throughout the month. Trying to support our our businesses where I can, and our museums, of course. So some of the things that I had in there were a hit that we had for the Elverhoys last exhibit, and again, I didn't put the troll stuff in here, but I was already working on that in October, November, December. Visit California, I'm skipping ahead here quite a bit, but Visit California, as John had mentioned, we have a good relationship with them, and I'm always supplying them with content as well. We're manually uploading content for various ideas, or just when I have something, we can put it into different sections of their site, and they're pretty good about picking that up and publishing that somewhere on their site, either in blog posts or on their media site. So what that is other media professionals, journalists, whoever can go to this section of their site that's just industry and look for story ideas that have to do with something in the state. So that's where that usually resides once they pick it up. I am a media liaison. That's why I have that in my title. So anytime anybody's coming in and looking for photos because they already have an article that they've done, or they need to update one that existed in the past, I'm regrouping on information and any updates that might need to be done, and new photo assets or video or whatever they need. So there's a lot of that, obviously, that comes to us in anticipation of Yule Fest. That's when we get hit heaviest with requests. I know, Randy, you were just on that slide, but that was the California Live segment. This is a journalist that we work with for various reasons. She's actually main contributor for The Hollywood Reporter, Alicia, but she also does on-air segments live for California Live and sometimes KTLA. And I asked if her crew would like to come up to do something about Yule Fest. Not that we needed that much promotion, but she got them hooked, and they did. And what's great about this is that California Live, usually when a destination does something, you have to pay. It's almost like an advertising situation. And we did not have to pay that huge advertising cost to do this. We host these people, but that's really all that we're paying for that. So it was a really, really good opportunity, and they were here for a couple of nights and one full day shooting around town. So yeah, and then this just goes on with content that I submitted, media liaison stuff, and my additional items slide is pretty much the same all the time, but it's continuing to work with TJA and Candace, continuing to check in with Sue on how everything's going at the visitor center, and always working with Kaylee and Leanna on anything that they might need to support the social efforts. And then we just have a few slides here that are between October and December, not random, but sampling of media hits with the outlet, the headline, links, photos. Then I'm now on, continuing down. Sorry, I've been sick getting over whatever this is. The 12th, 13th slide, continuing media coverage. A lot of it is obviously Yule Fest. Some of it goes back a little bit to the fall. Slide 15, same thing. And then I kind of regrouped everything for Yule Fest on 16 and 17. So that was just snippets of headlines with the outlet logos, just consolidating all the Yule Fest stuff. And that's not everything, that's just certain clips. This influencer slide, which is slide 18, this was the main influencer project that we had in October. So again, this is just a recap because I was doing October, November, December recap. And then looking ahead, I am obviously right now working with the museum on the troll and helping to support their efforts in promoting that, and also working on what's new for either what's coming in 2025 as well as what we had at the end or second half of 2024 as far as businesses, initiatives, our exhibits, anything that goes in there. And that's just a roundup piece that I then just pitch out to anybody and use as ideas when I'm reaching out to writers and editors. And then we had up to 3 journalists that I thought we would have here in this next month. And then in the past 2 days, I got hit with 3 more. So we had a gal that was in town this past weekend. She was actually helping on the troll build. She wanted to do that. So she was helping them today with 2 5-year-olds. So that's going to give us family-friendly content. She felt very strongly tied to the troll. She's done the trail through the Pacific Northwest. So this ties in with what Leanna was saying, in that we have these people now that are coming forward and like, oh, I've seen his trolls in other parts of the world or other parts of the country, and now they want to come here, and this troll is literally putting us on his map this time. And it is the first troll for the entire state of California, which is big. And it is his first permanent indoor troll worldwide. So we're very excited to meet her. Anyway, as I was saying, so then today, now that people are starting to somewhat recover, not really, in LA, people are starting to venture out. So I had 3 more journalists just join the club today that want to come up at some point in the next month. So now I've just got to juggle all of that. And as I've said in the past, that gets tricky because they each need individual itineraries. They're not here for the same theme per se. One is very style oriented. One is actually a repeat visit. One is just generic travel. So it's just finding what's new for the people who haven't been here in a bit, or just spinning things in a new way and giving them a very individualized itinerary. So that's me. Your turn. We'll leave this up for you. Yeah, that's fine. I don't have everything.
So for the visitor center, I won't go into too much detail, but I do have a couple things I want to show here too. So my numbers are up there. The total number for 2024 was 104,203 visitors. In my November-December report that I turned in, I did show also what we looked like last year for 2023. So I did write that down. Last year, my total number was 98,447. So this year, we had 5,756 more visitors in the visitor center. And in December, that's always our record month. But we are very similar to last year. Last year, we had 16,434 visitors in there. And this year, it was 16,476, so 42 more than last year in December. But of course, we do our best to count them all because sometimes we have big crowds coming in and we're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We do try to do the clicker, all that, but we do the best we can. So that is our best numbers that we've got there. So very good. A lot of the numbers that come in December are attributed to the fact that we do the NESR scavenger hunt in there. It filters through us. They start in there and they come back and show us their pictures after they find them all the NESR. So we get, a lot of times we get them coming in and then coming in a second time to show us. So that's why we get such high numbers. December is first, July is always second in our numbers. And did y'all see the ornaments that Candace ordered? If not, you ought to come. We still have some. We're using them for Solvang Squad. I actually brought one, but it's back there at my seat. But they're very cute. They have a windmill on it and say Solvang Eulafest, and everyone loved them. So it's great Solvang branding. And then she plans, I believe, to continue with different colors each year so that hopefully people want to come back and get the next color. So that was a new prize this year, which worked out very, very well. I wanted to say in my report, even in the December report, I did not, I forgot to put in that I wanted to mention that this was the first year in several Eulafest years that we did not get one complaint about the bathrooms. And we did not get one complaint about the garbage. And that was like a really big deal. So I want to say that our new company, they are doing a really good job because that was really rough last year. And there's a lot of people here using the bathroom and the garbage can. So kudos to that. That's wonderful. So I did want to do a little mention of that. And then I brought this up to show you. So I was in the visitor center right after the fires had started, and I was in there, and a lady came in. She was with her 92-year-old mother-in-law. Her husband had just passed away. She was talking to us about being displaced from the fire, and so we gave her one of our bear hugs, and she held it tight and asked for one for her mother-in-law too. And I was wishing I could do something more for her. So I went home and thought, you know what, I want to do a little bit more in case people come in. So we put together bags, and it does have, there is a bear in here. It's a little bigger than our other bear, just for something cute, but there's also toothbrush in here, deodorant, a little lotion, shampoo. And we only got to give a few out because we had more people come in before I got these made, but we have given a few out. We're going to keep them in there for this kind of, I'm sure we'll have these kind of events again. Really important and it's not something that I had in my budget, so I want you to know I'm not passing on the cost to the city. We just decided it was important to do it, and we wanted people to know that, I mean, it's not much, but we wanted them to know that we care here and that, whatever we can do to help. So, and then I wanted to show you one more thing, which is happy. This is really cool. I just want you to know how much Solvang has an effect on people. There's a lot of hard things going on, but we get good news too. So this is a card. It's a Christmas card. Those handmade, came all the way from Denmark. These 3 wonderful young Danish women were here actually last summer, and they sent us a Christmas card, and they're holding a bear hug right there. They actually documented the entire trip they had in California and sent all their pictures back to us and wanted us to know, they love Solvang. There's their picture in the visitor center, and they have a picture in the record store. They just loved Solvang so much that they even asked for our information so that they could send us a letter if they wanted to. And our team member who wrote down the information for them drew a little heart, and on next to the information, and you guys can't see this probably, but this is all their ankles, and they went and had the heart tattooed on their ankles because they wanted to remember their trip into Solvang. So, and they've given us their information and said, please, email us and stuff. So that is the kind of impact our little town has on people. So I thought and we just got this the other day. And by the way, they also sent us homemade Danish cookies and a homemade Danish heart and the star, ornaments. Fantastic. So gotta love that.
That's awesome. Thank you. Any
We all want your job now.
I have the best job in the world. It's true. Any other questions or anything before?
I didn't, but I had a wild thought here talking about the fires and the troll and everything else. Similar to after the 9/11 attack, they used World Trade Center steel for certain artworks and things of that nature. Are there any remnants from the fire that might be used for the troll artwork? That I don't know. I'd leave it to the artist for that, but it's just an idea I had.
I don't think he's using anything from LA. He usually tries to pull everything locally. So, for instance, this afternoon I actually talked to his wife, who's kind of his PR manager, and they were out. It was actually pretty funny. They were out collecting materials. They're looking for natural materials for the troll's hair. So they were looking for people that had recently clipped all their trees, like palm fronds or anything that would be usable. And they weren't getting necessarily enough of what they wanted. So they went out today just to scavenge. And so she said we were kind of trespassing on someone's property, looking through piles of green waste they had pushed aside. And the guy caught them, and they explained what they were doing. And obviously he was okay with their taking it. But they're really trying to make everything localized. So this particular troll, it is all upcycled. I think they prefer recycled materials. And because of where we're at, she is made almost entirely out of pallets and wine barrels from the wine industry and other businesses that had pallets available. So it's all donations. I know my other half and the various wineries he works for contributed something like 30 to 40 pallets and a number of barrels, including large format barrels, big giant guys. So that's obviously speaks to
Right.
where we are.
The local material. Do you have a question?
I was just going to point out, we subscribed recently to an AI enhanced, basically visitor counter using cell phone data. And for the Yulafest period, from basically Thanksgiving through the first weekend in January, it said we had 750,000 visitors. I know when I first started a year and 8 months ago now, almost 9. Boy, time flies. But we were just using 1 million visitors a year was kind of the round numbers. And then I thought it was way more than that after Yulafest last year. So I started using 1.5 million. With 750,000 here in 1 month, I think that number needs to go up. I asked Candace, and again, we're still trying to decipher exactly how it counts people. But for the calendar year of 2024, we had 5 million visitors in Solvang. Now, again, I'm not exactly sure how to vet that. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's unique. It does not count residents. It does not count people that are here for like 10 minutes or less, basically just driving through. This is counting people that come into town and spend time here. If it's an overnight visit, they get counted again tomorrow, so it's not, unique in the truest sense, visitors, but that's a huge number. And if you think 6,200 residents, and even if the number is half of that, if you want to go half of that for unique visitors, 2.5 million, that basically more than doubles our daily population. Based on those counts, we were seeing over 30,000 a day some days in December. So again, we're still trying to vet that and make it a number that's understandable and kind of gives us a better idea. But we had a similar number in 2023, so the total number through the course of the year remained pretty constant for both 2023 and 2024. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Sue's number is impressive as far as visitor center counts, but that's obviously people that stop by the visitor center.
Yeah.
So this is a number that we're hearing suggests that we're a very popular destination.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your goodie bags that you're making. That's awesome. That's above and beyond, and it's appreciated. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to public communications for non-agenda items. And I don't have any slips, but I'm about to, okay. And for non-agenda items.
Public communications, non-agenda, and consent. At this time, you may address the council on items not on the agenda and on consent. Time limit is 3 minutes.
Have you any slips? Not for that. Jamie, come on up. Come up to the microphone. Please share with everyone your name and be recognized.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, Council. I'm Jamie Baker. I own Space VR, and I just wanted to say a couple of things about all of the work that every piece of the marketing team, Anna, Tracy, Sue, he left, but everybody. Back in November, I was seriously considering closing my business, but the efforts of everyone who made this happen, who made that fourth quarter happen with so many people, really saved my business. And I wanted to thank them personally, all of you guys, because I was turning away people. And that was been a long time. That was pre-COVID, before I was doing that. But this December, it started to kick back in, and I believe I owe everything to those people who we just heard, get up 15 minutes ago. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay, we'll close the public communications, and we'll move on to city manager's report and advance calendar. Oh, wait. Yep.
Sorry for getting ahead of myself. So, city manager's reports. A couple of things. Reminder, again, I'll hopefully remember to do this the next couple of meetings, or the next meeting anyway. Our community cleanup. We have a quarterly cleanup. The next one is on Saturday, 15th of February from 8 a.m. to noon in Lot 4, which is just down the street here on Oak. And we have this information available on our website. It's get rid of household trash, scrap metal, green waste, wood, and bulky waste the responsible way and for free. I mean, technically, it's not free. It's built in the cost of your garbage bill, but it doesn't cost you extra. Let's put it that way. So I wanted to point that out. We've spoken before in the past about our grant cycle. That's just now starting to happen again. We'll be opening them soon. We're having 2 workshops because we've had issues in the past with people not following procedures, not understanding what's required of them. We're doing 2 separate workshops. The first one will be on Wednesday, February 19th at 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. That'd be 5:30, like I said, in the evening. The second workshop, and you don't have to attend both because we're going to go over the same information. The second one will be on Tuesday, March 11th at 3 p.m. It's important to note that we are requiring you or a representative for your business or your charity to attend one of the 2 workshops, or we will not accept a grant application. It's been very time consuming for staff and trying to elicit or get information, get receipts, get whatever it is, or going back and forth with the grant process, with the contract, and all that. So we felt that, and I've mentioned this before when we were going through it, that we needed to improve it. So I'm working with Wendy and going to have these 2 workshops. One in the evening, like I said, the first one is 5:30 on Wednesday, the 19th of February. The second one will be in the mid-afternoon on Tuesday, March 11th at 3 p.m. Both of those meetings will be here in the council chambers. We will be getting information out on our website, on our city Facebook page. But I wanted to announce that here right now. Also wanted to point out we will be coming back to council, I believe at the next meeting on February 10th, requesting that the council award a contract for an update to the Parks and Rec Master Plan. We've gone through the recruitment process. I believe we've got 8 responses to the RFP request that we submitted. And good turnout, interviewed 3, selected 1. It was unanimous among the selection committee. So we will be bringing that forward. Unfortunately, it's a little more expensive than we thought it would be. We were budgeting and anticipating a cost of $75,000, and it's pretty close to 3 times that number. But it is very comprehensive. It is a local company, and so we'll talk more about that when we bring it forward. But I wanted to put that out there and remind the community it is about a 12 to 14-month process, and we'll be reaching out to the community for input. We'll have workshops, at least 2 or 3, and we'll get a very comprehensive thing going, and it'll be good for all of us. And then lastly, the Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee is doing a workshop tomorrow afternoon in this room at 3 p.m. So come down and help provide input into areas that Measure U and soon to be brought back to council for guidance on Measure E funding as well, since they have very similar language in the measure. So, well, looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon. And that's all I have for now.
What time tomorrow?
3 p.m.
3.
Also, Randy, what was the date again on that trash pickup?
The trash cleanup day is on the 15th of February,
Thank you.
8 to noon.
Any questions for the city manager? Okay, let's go to, just go, where's our consent? Consent items number 6, okay. Any report outs for the council members? We're on item 5.
I have some. Do you have any? Okay, I have a couple of meetings that I have to report out. I attended this past week. I am a board member or city representative for the EMA JPA, which is our groundwater sustainability for the Eastern Management Basin. That JPA meeting meets once a month, but we are now in the phase where we're activating multiple work streams to initiate the basin reporting, rate study, and eventually meter implementations and monitorings. So what we have asked the staff to do is to really put energy around what do those plans look like, because there's grant money that is behind that work effort that we have to perform duties in order to be reimbursed those grant money. So there's grant money at stake. But we will also discuss the challenge with a startup agency that they still need some operating funding. So most likely we will be asked again as the city of Solvang to provide another temporary operational loan along with the other supporting agencies. So we wouldn't be asked alone, but I wanted to telegraph to the staff and to my peers that request is likely to come our way. And I think it's reasonable and it's realistic that we can't continue to operate in an aggressive way without keeping them funded. Second thing, I attended along with the many folks here, the senior center groundbreaking ceremony, which was just phenomenal event. But if you haven't tapped into what's going on there, a really great community moment. Have to compliment the board and everybody who supported getting the senior center rebuild to this point, but that was a phenomenal event with great coverage and great support, and a great chance to meet everybody who, puts their heart and soul and experiences what goes on over there. And then I wanted to mention that I did have a quick sit down with Joan Hartman last week as well, mainly to try to spurn the idea that Solvang could become a group of Firewise ready and prepared communities and neighborhoods to be fire ready. Joan sits on the county fire safety board, and the idea is that the community comes together across the valley to become not just Firewise and better fire prepared and better educated, and we find the right communication vehicles, but also to become a gold standard for our emergency response and emergency preparedness, even beyond what the Santa Barbara Emergency Office does for us. So we're looking to elevate. I think it's a responsible thing to do, and I hope we'll come back to you, Randy, with some other ideas that come out of that effort.
Anything? Okay, I've got a couple items. Last week, I had the pleasure of being on a board with at Allen Hancock College for the Upward Mobility Summit, and it was a nice all-day event type of thing. My comments didn't last for a day. I promise you that. But it was good networking and so forth for helping economic assistance throughout the North County, basically. And then also attended a SB County Association of Governments meeting, and I'll be on the 154 Safety Review Committee on that, as well as the alternate for the rail corridor for South County, and then there's other meetings that are forthcoming, but there's mostly assignments for committees and such. And then I want to do a shout out to Michael Flynn. Last week we had a fire at the Solvang Brewery, and Michael is on our staff.
Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan, excuse me, Jonathan Flynn is on our staff and was one of the first people there, and we got a lot of compliments for him from the sheriffs as well as the firefighters that were there, and he was very instrumental and very helpful in their endeavors to knock out that fire. And then I wanted to thank Sue for her goodie bags for the fire victims. I thought that was a great initiative that she put forth. And that's what I had for shout outs, and I think they're doing a great job. Thank you. Okay, let's go to item 6. Item 6 for consent calendar. Any modifications from any of us for the consent?
I'll move we accept the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second.
That would be to approve the entire consent calendar.
Yes. The consent items, the whole, not just the
Yeah.
Item 6,
calendar,
A through
A,
D.
B, C, and D.
Yeah. My apologies.
Okay, it's been clarified. We have a motion to approve consent items A, B, C, and D. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Arona, absent. Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay. There are no public hearings, so we're going to go to item 8, our discussion items for tonight. We have the staff report for our comprehensive financial report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, members of the public. Tonight, we're going to hear a presentation by Mitesh Desai. He's our auditor with Badawi and Associates. And it's for the fiscal year of July 1, 2023 through June 30th of 2024. It's the 23-24 fiscal year. The city has 2 types of funds, governmental funds and proprietary funds. Governmental funds or governmental activities is a different name that account for the core services of the city. The proprietary funds or business activities are considered enterprise funds, which is water, wastewater, transit, and internal service funds, which is our vehicle pool fund. So with that, the unrestricted funds for general fund came out to be $15,764,993, which also includes the Measure U funds. For accounting purposes, Measure U is split out into Fund 207 for accounting purposes, so we can track the expenses and revenue. But for auditing purposes, it gets lumped into general fund because it is general fund monies. And we can, the measure specified different expenses, but ultimately it is general fund revenue, and we can use it for government purposes. So water had a fund balance of $8,303,826, and the wastewater fund increased to $1,978,827. So with that, Mitesh is online, so we will turn it over to him to give his presentation.
Thank you, Andy. Should I just share my screen?
Huh? How do I share it? Oh, there we go.
Can you see my screen? All right. Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So I have a short presentation here just covering the city's audit. I'll be covering the deliverables and the scope of the audit, the areas of primary audit risk, the auditor's report, some required communications that we need to make as the auditors, and briefly touch on any new accounting standards. And then I'll be happy to answer any questions that I could answer. Looking at the deliverables and the scope of the audit. So we've audited the city's basic financial statements. With that, we also issue a report on internal control, compliance, and other matters. We also look at the GAN limit or appropriations limit schedule. That's referred to as an agreed upon procedure report. We'll also be issuing a letter pretty much covering the required communications slides. In addition, we also assist the city with preparing the street report that's submitted in December. And we also prepared the city's state controller report, financial transaction report that will be submitted this month. In terms of areas of primary audit risks, so our audit is performed on a risk-based approach. So that requires us to evaluate risk and then apply auditing procedures to address those risks. We identified a couple of different risks that are considered to be significant, and these are risks that are inherent in all audits, so nothing necessarily specific to the city itself. The first being is risk of management override of internal controls. This is the risk that management may not follow its own internal controls that they've designed and put in place, such as approval of time cards, approval of contracts, approval of invoices. These are controls or financial transactions that we evaluate as part of our audit. However, there is the inherent risk that those procedures may not be followed. So we address that risk by assigning more experienced staff to more complex areas of the audit. We incorporate elements of unpredictability. We scan through the accounting records for any unusual transactions that may seem inconsistent with the city's operations. We also look at manual adjustments that are made to the accounting records, which are referred to as manual journal entries. So we look at those manual adjustments to see if there's adequately supported and also adequately approved. Also, we perform our inquiries with city staff regarding fraud-related types of activities. The second significant risk that is also inherent in all audits is the risk of improper revenue recognition. This is the risk that the revenues that are reported in the financial statements are not accurate, just that revenues are a very qualitatively important line item in your financial statements, that the auditing standards have identified that it has to be addressed specifically as part of our audit. If we do not identify it as a risk, we generally require a lot of documentation to substantiate why it isn't a risk. We address this risk in a number of ways. For your governmental funds, we confirm and validate a lot of your large revenues, which are primarily your sales tax revenues, your TOT revenues, property taxes, grant revenues are significant. With your enterprise funds, we perform a lot of analytical procedures, looking at the financial and non-financial information to see if it's consistent, and then also investigate any unusual types of activities there. In terms of our auditor's report, and just to clarify that really, even though the entire document comes from our office, really it's only our auditor's report that really belongs to us as the auditors, which is pages which are referred to as the independent auditor's report. Our audit is performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards that are set by the AICPA. In addition, we are required to also follow government auditing standards. So these are audit requirements that are supplemental to those set by the AICPA that makes us look at other things such as abuse and waste and requires to also perform a few other procedures. With that, our audit report for this year is we've issued an unmodified opinion on these financial statements. What that means is that the financial statements we believe are fairly presented in all material respects. So keep in mind an audit is performed on a sampling basis and focus on material items. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they are error-free. However, we do believe they are fairly stated in all material respects. The significant accounting policies have been consistently applied. Your financial statements do include estimates. As part of our audit, we evaluate those estimates and we believe those estimates are reasonable. Also accompanying those financial statements are a number of lengthy disclosures of information. We believe that all those disclosures are fairly stated and complete. And going over our required communications as the auditors, this is a slide just comparing and communicating our responsibilities as the auditors and management's responsibilities. So keep in mind that even though the entire document comes from our office as we assist management in preparing the financial statements, management are responsible for those financial statements. So they do take ownership of those statements. They're responsible for establishing internal controls, keeping the financial records, also implementing internal controls to prevent and detect fraud, informing us if there was any fraud, complying with laws and regulations, and to take corrective action on audit findings. Our responsibility as the auditors is to perform our auditing procedures on those financial statements, evaluating internal controls over financial reporting. If there are any compliance requirements that have a material impact on the numbers, we evaluate compliance with those requirements. We review the financial statements to ensure they're transparent and clear, and we also communicate the results of the audit which we're doing today. I think I might need to fix this. I apologize. Also, our responsibilities include independence, and this is why you have us as a third party performing the city's audit, is that we are required to maintain our independence from the city, so we do not perform procedures such as acting as management, processing financial transactions, having certain types of relationships with the city. It's very important that we maintain our independence both in transactional activity and also in appearance. We follow rules that are set by the AICPA and the state board. Other than assisting the city with preparing the financial statements, which we are permitted to do under with certain safeguards, we haven't performed any other types of activities that would impair our independence. In terms of timing of the audit, we have not had any issues with the timing of the audit. It was completed in accordance with our engagement letter. In terms of new accounting pronouncements, there was one new accounting pronouncement implemented this year by the city, which is GASB Statement 100, which addresses how to report accounting changes and how to address error corrections. You'll notice this year that when you're looking at your financial statements, when there are changes in what's referred to as major fund, those changes to the major funds are reported slightly differently than they were before. So you do see that this year there were two major funds from last year that were no longer reported as major funds this year since they did not meet the reporting criteria. So those are reflected slightly differently this year. Previously, they would not be reported at all. Moving on, I did mention that your financial statements do have accounting estimates. So the most significant estimates in your financial statements are your pension and other post-employment benefit, which is your retiree health care plan, liabilities, and related deferred outflows and inflows and expense. Those are based on actuarial studies. And as part of those actuarial studies, the actuary has to have a variety of assumptions, such as having mortality tables, a discount rate, looking at how much salary growth will go in the future, how much healthcare costs will go in the future. All of those items are evaluated and go into these numbers that are in your financial statements. So they are somewhat volatile or in terms of the reliability, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Similarly, your capital assets depreciation expense and net book value are based on estimates for useful life as to how long you expect to use these capital assets. So also those numbers are to be taken with a bit of the grain of salt, so to speak. In terms of difficulties, we have no difficulties in performing the audit. As part of the audit, we do have audit adjustments. We did not have any significant audit adjustments, and all the proposed audit adjustments were recorded. As part of our audit, we also evaluate internal controls. We did not identify any items that we would consider to be material weaknesses. And in terms of new accounting standards that will be coming the city's way in the future, in 2025, there will be some new accounting standards relating to compensated absences, and there will be additional disclosure requirements for anything that may impact the city, any new laws or anything that occurred in the city may require disclosure that has a significant financial impact. In 2026, there will be some changes to the management discussion and analysis section of the financial report, and also the classification of revenues and expenses may change slightly for your proprietary funds. Also, with GASB Statement 104, there will be some additional disclosure requirements for your capital assets, such as reporting for idle assets or assets being held for resale. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions from our board? Any public? Oh.
I've just kind of maybe a technical question, not about the numbers. What is a compensated absence? What is this new standard about?
So compensated absences are the city's estimate for leave liabilities. So any liability for vacation or unpaid leave. So that previously you would be currently you're reporting what those balances are, what you expect to have as a cash, whatever will be expected to be paid out in cash or has a possibility in being paid out by cash. With changes in governmental types of leave that are being offered and what you can do with leave, the accounting standards were updated or clarified, so there's more consistency in how those liabilities are reported.
Any other questions? I'm going to congratulate Wendy and her team. They've received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting and have received that award for the last 34 of the last 35 years. Pretty awesome. So she hasn't done it, but we've had that award for 17 years. Thank you very much, and that says a lot. I will now take public comment, if there's any, for this action. Anybody on Zoom? Okay, we'll close public comment. bring it back to the board. Any further questions? Any comments, Wendy, about the audit? No. Oh, you're struggling here with some health.
Pardon?
You're struggling here with cold.
Yeah. We have them for another 3 years. What? Oh, okay. So we actually, they did us a favor because we actually did RFP the first time, and we didn't get any qualified proposals. And so I just want to say thank you for Mitesh for bailing us out and doing our last audit. That was, they didn't have to do it, but based on our working relationship, they took it upon themselves to help us out. Otherwise, we would have been in big trouble because you have to have an audit annually. And the candidates we got, they were not, they were scary.
Okay.
So,
If they didn't help, we wouldn't be getting the award next year.
yeah. So, thank you, Mitesh, for taking us on.
Well, yeah, I had a couple questions for Mitesh. You'd mentioned the risk of fraud-related and then also revenue itemization. Are there any concerns, in your opinion, for our organization in those areas?
No. As part of our audit, we perform our fraud-related inquiries. Our audit is not necessarily designed to detect fraud. However, if we do identify any fraud or identify any internal control deficiencies that have a fraud risk, we would be reporting on those. With regards to revenue recognition, that's just a risk that's inherent in all audits, and we applied our auditing procedures to address that revenue recognition, and we don't have any concerns there.
Thank you. Good to know. I'll bring it back if there's a motion to be made for approval of this financial report.
Yeah, you have to approve it. But I'd also like to give a shout out to Jason, our financial supervisor. He's in the audience, and he handles all the audit information and getting it to the auditors, and it's a very grueling process, but he manages to get it done instantaneously. So thank you, Jason, for all your hard work.
Now, there's a good leader. She's given all the credit to her staff, so much appreciated. So, unless there's,
We need a motion then?
we need a motion to approve the report.
So I'll make a motion to approve the annual 23-24 audit report.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the report, audit report for item 8A. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Rona, absent. Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to go to item 8B, and there's quite a, would you read that for us, please?
Certainly. It's discussion and possible action to adopt resolution number 25-1278, granting consent to the County of Santa Barbara to establish the Santa Barbara County Wine Improvement District, SBCWID, and include the city of Solvang in the established SBCWID.
Staff report, please.
Yeah, so. Sorry, again, the city was approached by a group of supporters for a wine improvement district that would include the city of Solvang. They've already gone to the county. They're going to the various jurisdictions, and they're requesting support of the individual jurisdictions. Allison, and I'm sorry I don't remember your last name at the moment, is here to speak. We have a presentation of about 9 slides. And we have a bunch of people that want to talk about this. So Allison, if you'd step up to the microphone and start this off and tell me when to advance the slides.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Great. Okay, you can advance the slide. So I'm Allison Laslett. I'm the CEO of the Santa Barbara Vintners. And over the last several years, wine business improvement districts have been forming across California. Wine improvement districts provide stable funding for the associations. They are an assessment that is formed by owners to work together with the winery associations. So they fund marketing and promotional efforts. They fund community, industry, and government education. The funds are used to build the region's high-quality wine reputation and primarily to attract new visitors to the wineries. There are currently 3 wine bids in California, in Amador, Livermore, and Temecula. Next slide. Thank you. So why the wine bid for Santa Barbara County? The association has been in operation for 40 years, and it has been an exclusively dues-funded membership organization. An assessment, a wine bid, provides predictable and stable funding for the organization. So we have seen how funding helps. In 2019 and 2021, we won almost $800,000 in grant funding for marketing. So we were able to track what those marketing dollars, the impact that it had on the wine industry. So over a 5-year period, I joined the association in 2017. From 2018 to 2022, sales increased in Santa Barbara County almost 49%. The $800,000 was spent in the middle of that. We advertised to people in Los Angeles during COVID. As soon as the restrictions were lifted, people were able to come to the region. So we saw our marketing dollars at work when people came back. Of course, there were other reasons that people returned, but we have seen what marketing does for the wine industry. In Temecula, which passed a wine bid, they had an 18% increase in visitation from September 2022 to September 2023, and that's when other wine regions were declining. They had $1.7 million in marketing that they had not had before, and that's what impacted that visitation. Next slide. So what is the assessment? This is a very carefully constructed and chosen assessment for Santa Barbara County. It's a 1% assessment on all direct-to-consumer sales, retail only. So there's no wholesale. So it does include tasting room sales, wine club, events, food, and merchandise. The 1% was chosen because that is the amount of tax that comes back from the state sales tax to Santa Barbara County, which makes it an auditable number. You can audit that against sales tax to ensure that all wineries are paying their fair share. Next slide. So what will our money be spent on? Marketing, brand awareness, and PR, as I mentioned, events, community engagement, government education, industry education. We do wine tastings already in the association so that the wineries can learn about each other's wines and refer visitors to other wineries, knowing what they serve. We've considered other areas of improvement that are to be determined, AVA support, infrastructure, philanthropy, but the funding must be spent on programs and activities that provide specific benefit to the payer. Next slide. How the money gets remitted. So there's a third-party firm that the county already works with. It's called HDL. This is the consulting firm that collects most of the taxes in California and across the United States. So this is the firm that we would hire to do the collections. The reason that they are useful is because of that tax issue I mentioned before. They can look at the taxes that a winery is paying and compare it to the 1% that the winery pays. So this takes the burden off of the county, which is the lead jurisdiction for the formation of the wine bid. Next slide. So the formation timeline, we're in the middle of it right now. The county has passed the resolution of intent to form, and they have requested consent from the cities to participate in the wine bid. We are going to all of the cities now, the way that we are here this evening, and we will go back to the county on February 11th to form the wine bid, and the district will begin collections on April 1st. I think that's it. Can I answer any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. You say that it's a payer benefit for this. Who is the payer? Is that the person who paid the 1%, or is that the
It's the
safety room?
winery. So the assessment is on the winery itself. The winery so the winery is responsible for paying 1% of all of its retail sales. So they are choosing to self-assess. They have the right to pass that 1% along to the consumer if they want to. If they do that, it does show up on the receipt above the sales tax line as a 1% assessment, or it can be built into the price of the wine.
Okay. My other question is, what's your current budget or annual revenues, and what are they anticipated to be if this passes?
Yeah, so our dues come in about $400,000 a year. Our events come in right around $250,000 to $300,000. We anticipate, we have old data, unfortunately, because it's all tax data, so we don't have a right for it. We anticipate around 1.5, 1.6 million. Wine sales have been declining recently, so I imagine that the first year it will be less.
Okay, and then the only other question I had was, have there been any cities that have not approved it?
Yes, Lompoc. So Lompoc was an interesting circumstance. We had two members of the city council that were so closely related to the wine industry, they recused themselves. Because this is a vote that has to do with the transfer of funding, it still requires a three-person majority in the vote. 2 voted for it, 1 voted against. So in that circumstance, 1 council member was able to make the decision to remove the city.
Well, we're down 1 person already. Anybody have to recuse himself? Okay. Mark, go ahead.
I'm curious where the marketing, how do you do the marketing? Is it a website? Are we getting email? I don't know. I go to a lot of wineries, but I don't know how you do your marketing.
Yeah, it's a great question. I didn't know how we did our marketing until we got the $800,000, and suddenly when we had real dollars to spend. Our marketing is advertising. It's targeted advertising. It's digital advertising. There are campaigns. We ran a campaign that was called West of France, just north of Los Angeles. That was to help people understand that we make mostly European wines and tell them where we are located. So there's a lot of digital marketing that you can do where you can see who has opened your ad, and then you can track that person via their phone to a winery. So we were able to track the successful ads and the successful campaigns that we did. So that's advertising. You can advertise in Wine Enthusiast. You can advertise in Wine Spectator. You can do pay-for-play advertising where you pay a certain amount and you have an article written about you. We also do PR, public relations, which is media, press, outreach. So I would say that marketing really, it's a very broad term these days. There's certainly social media involved also. That's a huge portion of what we do. Our website is, it's very big. It's over 200 individual pages. That's because of the wineries in Santa Barbara County. It's one of the more highly visited websites in Santa Barbara County.
Wow. You also list that you're going to be advertising events. And I'd like to know about these events. How do I find them? I don't know where to look.
Right, so that's the same thing. Local events, we advertise in the newspapers, we advertise on the radio, we hang posters up. The Vintners Association and Vintners Festival has had posters for 40 years. They get put in shop windows. So we do some very old school advertising, brochures and little cards that we put in the wineries in addition to traditional, well, I say traditional now, but digital marketing, sort of the way that people get their news these days.
We have a visitors center.
Yeah.
That gets thousands of people
Right.
every month.
Right.
And it would seem to me it'd be kind of a neat idea to have a wine map.
Yes, we used to have a wine map, so now we have a wine app. But one of the things that we'll fund with this funding is a wine map. They're pretty expensive to produce, so when we were looking at our very small marketing budget, we were making decisions based on where we thought we would get the most bang for our buck, and we had to make some hard choices. But we have historically had a wine map that has included all of the wineries that were members of the association on that wine map, and of course all of the cities in Santa Barbara County.
Well, I don't care about the rest of the cities. Thank you very much.
Towards that end, I will just say one of my concerns is that if a city does not approve this, then you are not included in any of the marketing. You were taken off the map. You're not included in any of the advertising. We're not legally allowed to promote the city or the wineries in that city if the city chooses to carve itself out. That's something that we have a great concern now that Lompoc has carved themselves out. The Vintners are very interested in being unified and operating as one, and they're very communal and community-oriented. So it is a concern that we have now that we will be split.
Allison, I have a question. Allison, right?
Yes.
You said something that I didn't expect to hear, so I want to make sure I understood it about the 1% assessment and how the 1% value was arrived at. And I want to make sure that it is, because it's positioned as an assessment, it is incremental to sales tax. Is that correct? It's on top of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is above sales tax. It is taxed. That's the surprise. So a year ago, that changed. It used to be you would buy a bottle of wine, sales tax, assessment, total. Now it's bottle of wine, assessment, sales tax. I will say that the majority of the vintners, my expectation and their expression is that they will roll the assessment into the price of wine so that there is not an additional fee on the receipt.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
That's all well and good. How are you going to track that?
Well, the winery is assessed. So it's the winery's retail sales. So it lines up with their quarterly tax payments. It's the same figure. That's part of why we chose direct-to-consumer retail sales, is that number that they write their check to the government, they will use that same number to write their 1% assessment.
So this really is not going to be a burden to the bookkeeper of the individual winery? Right?
No, and
It'll
it
be
was
easy.
designed that way. There was some question when we discussed this 4 years ago as an industry, and we looked at, should we carve out wine clubs? Should we carve out baseball hats or wine openers? But then you get into very complicated bookkeeping. You have to pull out certain sales. So this really does line up exactly with the bookkeeping that is already done to submit your state taxes. It's the same number.
I have more questions. Is that okay? Now, if we go forward with this, all the wineries are going to be included? I mean, this is not,
Yes, all of the wineries then become a member of what's called the Owners Organization. So that is the Vintners Association, but it is the organization that is now dedicated to representing those owners and spending the money for their benefit.
And currently, right now, if a winery is a member of the association, they're paying dues.
That's right.
Now, will they continue to pay dues and?
No, the dues will go away. So the assessment will take the place of the membership dues for the organization. The organization will remain a 501c6, which is a nonprofit designation for a membership organization, but the assessment will become the dues.
And will, I mean, we have so many wineries here that they vary size. We've got the Firestones, and we've got the tiny wineries. So are they going to have an equal vote or say in?
They do after the formation. So for the formation, there is something called a weighted vote. And the weighted vote is based on the sales that winery does. And that is because the winery will pay a higher assessment. So they have more say in the formation. Once the organization is formed, once the entity is formed, then it is a one winery, one vote system. So the smaller wineries have the same power of vote that the larger wineries do. Yeah.
One more question. A new winery, an entrant comes into the geography, not necessarily into the association. How would they, what would their experience be, and how do they get onboarded?
You mean once this is passed?
Yes.
So every winery, it is mandatory for every winery. So we would have the same sort of, I imagine, welcome and orientation process that we have currently for new members. That would just be for new wineries. They would join our email list. We would put them on. We would put them on our website. We would include them in our meetings, invite them to our events. A winery, and this is true for the association, you can participate or not participate as much as you want. But we will have an obligation to include all wineries.
And you said that there were 3 other wine bids in California, but I thought that other regions, maybe I'm not using the same terminology, like Napa has done this and Paso has done, or something similar. And do they make their approach to elevate and promote their wine-driven presence also mandatory for every winery participant?
So a wine bid is mandatory. If it is passed in a region, then it is mandatory that all wineries participate. You do have to have the majority of the region in order to form one. So we have over 60% of the wineries in Santa Barbara County right now. Napa does not have a wine bid. They have a tourism bid that funds their downtown. Paso is pursuing a wine bid. They have paused their efforts for the moment. They're going to pick them up later this year. Temecula is probably the one that has funding that is equal to where we expect to land. Livermore and Amador are a little bit smaller. Sonoma has shared money with their tourism bid. I did talk to them the other day for almost an hour. They're really interested in the process. I think that we will see associations more and more be funded by this particular method.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're going to open it up to public comment. I'm going to ask that you give your full name, and if you're associated with an institution or company, please let us know that. And then I'm going to ask, for the sake of redundancy, if your name's called and then somebody's already made your comments, just say ditto or acknowledge the fact that you'll waive your time, so we don't have a great deal of duplicity, if that's okay. So let's do that, and we'll start with Shelby Sims. And I like it. Next person is Britt.
Mayor Brown, City Council, great to be with you this evening. Welcome to the council, and congratulations, Mayor Brown. Good to see you, City Manager. My golly, Happy New Year. Wow, congratulations on Yule Fest. What a December. Wow, it was amazing. Let's keep going with the whole year like that. That'd be great. So I am here to represent, of course, Visit the Santinas Valley, the Hotel Association, and we are 100% behind this bid. It works the same way as ours does. We had to do a petition. It works off hotel rooms, and so we had to get a percentage of percentage of hotel rooms to agree, and they did. It's a self-assessment. It's a voluntary tax that they're agreeing to do, and it's a win. It doesn't cost the city a dime. It's another marketing arm for the Santinas Valley. It's just a win-win-win. We're a win for Solvang. Solvang's a win for us. The Vintners Association with this funding will be a win for the Santinas Valley.
Thank you.
Is that easy? Can I answer any questions?
No, this is really just for you to share with us. During public comment, we will not make or request any questions, or we just want to listen to what you have to say.
Awesome.
And we'll go through that process till everybody's been heard.
Sounds great.
Thank you. Britt Zokovich?
Zodovich, perfect.
Zodovich, thank you.
You know, I'm up here and yeah, thank you. Is this good? My name is Britt Zodovich, and I have a small winery, Dreamcoat Wine Company. I employ 1 full-time and 2 part-time people. I've been in business for about 10 years, and some interesting things were said earlier. Jamie, earlier, I hadn't met him until tonight. Jamie Baker was talking about the challenges of being an entrepreneur and how marketing really helped his business and how that just drove traffic for his business. And that is how I see it. I see a small winery as having, you know, a small amount of money that they can spend. Where do you spend it? I can't seem to get around to even creating a marketing plan. And that's why this commingling of funds and this general oversight is so important for all of us. And so I just want to say, I think marketing really drives traffic. Traffic really drives sales. You know, that sales being revenue, taxes, job creation, community investment, direct and indirect. We are the people who donate so many bottles, not just for people to drink them, but for those bottles, they end up going into silent auctions, live auctions, to raise money for art programs, schools, outdoor camps, music programs for our children, all of these exciting things. So I just want you guys to consider a yes vote on this. It's just such a big deal for all of us, small and big winery owners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, what was the name of your winery? And can you all share the name of your winery?
Sure. Dreamcoat Wine Company.
Dreamcoat.
Can you give the website and the phone number?
Next on deck is Karen Steinwich. And after that is Brendan Sparks-Gillis.
Good evening, Council, and welcome, Louise. It's great to see you up there. Sorry for my voice. I'm getting over this thing, too. If Britt is a small winery, I'm this big. I think I have the smallest winery brand in Santa Barbara County, if maybe not the universe. I have no employees. My brand is called Sea Grape Wine Company. I have no tasting room. I make about 500 cases of wine a year. It's delicious. The wine is made in Lompoc. I run it out of my home office in Los Olivos, and it is sold at the Good Life here in Solvang. So there's been a bit of a misconception, I think, about the fact that the wine bid will really give more of a push for the larger wineries. And I have to say, I find that to be exactly the opposite. The larger wineries, the Firestones that you talk about, they have marketing budgets, they have marketing departments, they have PR firms, they have all sorts of outside counsel. I have me, and that's it. And by the power of belonging to the association, which I do, even though that, the Santa Rita Hills Wine Growers Alliance, which I also belong to, that's $1 a case that I pay to belong to that association. And I also belong to the Vintners Association. So that's the way that I can spread the word about little old Sea Grape Wine Company here. And to also be really clear about it, like, I'm going to pay the 1% on each of the bottles of wine. My bottles average about $35 a bottle. So 35 cents a bottle for marketing that's this broad possibility, I'm all into it. And the other thing to really understand is that the Good Life is not paying a thing. So I'm paying it, and I'm going to drive traffic to the Good Life, and hopefully also more, maybe not as many as December. That was a little crazy, but more traffic to Solvang during, especially the down months. So I hope you consider supporting the bid. We're really looking forward to being able to make Santa Barbara County even bigger on the world map by spreading the word. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Brendan Sparks Gillis, and then Keith Sarlos after that.
Good evening, members of the council. Thanks for having us and for considering this. I'll try to keep it brief, and this will somewhat dovetail with a little bit of what's been already said, but I'd like, as a Solvang resident and also a co-founder and member of Dragonette Cellars, we're a small winery in global terms, probably a medium winery in Santa Barbara County. We have a winery in Buellton, a tasting room in Los Olivos, and as I said, I'm a longtime Solvang resident. And the thing that I'd like to urge you to consider tonight is how this bid will actually work together with what's already in place in Solvang and amplify that. So when we look at Solvang, we know how important tourism is. Solvang currently has the most hotel beds of any city within the San Ynez Valley. And as we promote our region, that's going to fill the hotel beds. It's going to really help amplify all of the other businesses in Solvang. I mean, in terms of restaurants and other forms of hospitality, people walk over to the book loft and get a book. So, I mean, it's something that's going to, I'm a firm believer that if this bid goes through, it's going to benefit everybody in Solvang. So I'd urge you to support it.
Thank you. Keith Sarlos, and then after that is Stephen James.
Hi, everyone. My name is Keith Sarlos, representing Sarlos & Sons. I'm also on the board of the Vintners Association. One of the things I'd like to do, if you are in favor of this, if you could stand up in kind of the solidarity unit. There you go. One of the misconceptions, I think, in the wine world is that that it's glamorous and we'll start there. That it's Gucci loafers, but quite honestly, it's in Santa Barbara County, it's dirty boots. As Brooks Firestone once said, no rational person plants a vineyard. And when you get into this is a beautiful form of art. And what we're really doing is we're sharing the place we all love each and every day with as many people as we possibly can. This wine bid, I think, is a historic thing. And I think tonight you get an opportunity to be part by voting yes for a very historic opportunity. And that would be a unification of all of Santa Barbara County in wine. By doing this, we can use our combined efforts to reach millions of people who are literally over that hill. You and I, us, have the same goal. We want all of those people to know where we are, to come here. That's exactly what the bid is meant to do. It's not about wholesale. It's about getting people, to inspire them to get in their car, drive 150 miles for a day, come up and over the hill, spend the night. The beautiful part of this is this. We're open from 11 to 5, 11 to 6. From 6 in the morning when Good Seed opens, all the way till late at night. Those few hours in between when they're spending money at a winery, you guys get them for the rest of the time. It is a 10x. For every dollar they spend at a winery, it has a 10-time economic impact for the surrounding area. That's the deal. If they spend $1 with us, they're sending 10 with you. That's an amazing deal. What we get out of this, what is the goal? The goal is to have a united Santa Barbara County in our wine region, because here's the story. Temecula is not better than us. They should not have an 18% increase. Why do they have an increase? Because they have this tool. Everybody right now, Paso has the funding. They have the money. People come up and they drive right through. If we have this, we can show them why they need to stop, because this is the authentic place. This is the world's greatest place to grow a grape and turn it into a bottle of wine. And every single person who's sitting here is trying to share their passion, their little piece of this. And it's very regionally specific. It is right here where we stand.
Thank you.
I hope you all vote yes. Thank you guys very much.
Stephen James, and then after that is Tyler Thomas. And don't forget the opportunity with everybody stand up to say ditto, if that's all right.
I've got one ditto here. My name is Stephen Janes, and this is my 32nd year in the wine industry, with most of that time spent in Santa Barbara wine country. I'm the estate director for Gainey Vineyards, which is family owned and operated. I was president and vice president of the Santa Barbara Vintners from 2017 to 2021, and was on the committee that hired Allison, the Santa Barbara Vintners CEO. I'm here to tell you that I'm 100% in support of the bid. The formation of the bid will be one of the defining moments in our industry because it will guarantee our ability to properly promote Santa Barbara wine country as a destination to consumers around the world. You've already heard about the power of the economic impact going 10x. I think the bid will only increase these metrics, and you will see a boon to all of Solvang's businesses. Since moving to the region in 2002, I've always thought that the Mission Drive here in Solvang could be like the famous Highway 29 that anchors Napa Valley. This bid would only absolutely help that vision materialize. I want to switch to a couple other important issues that I think should be clarified. There's a lot of misleading information out there. The wine industry is trying to apply a 1% assessment. This is not a government tax, but an industry group of wine professionals trying to organize themselves together to help fund themselves more efficiently. The average retail bottle of a price of wine in Santa Barbara is $42. That would be 42 cents for this 1%. And by the glass, that's 11 cents per glass, just to give you a sense of how small this is. The California ABC allows multiple labels to exist under the same license, so there actually are only 325 wineries in Santa Barbara County. 165 of those wineries have annual sales of less than $100,000 per year. That is actually only 6% of the Santa Barbara winery revenue contributing to the county. This means that the other 160 wineries are contributing the lion's share of the revenue to the county, which is about over $155 million. I would further add that 100 of these 160 wineries are current members of the Santa Barbara Vintners. Looks like it's blinking. That's not good. I know that there are many wineries are struggling financially and are just getting by. The bid will obviously change that dynamic. There are serious headwinds in the wine industry right now. Adults are drinking less. There's dry January. There's sober October. Young adults have discovered alternative alcoholic beverages, and even the U.S. Surgeon General is warning about drinking wine. I deeply believe that rising tides lifts all boats, and I think this will help the smallest wineries the most because it will bring attention and consumers to the region. Solvang should be a part of this bid and take its rightful place at the center of Santa Barbara wine country. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Tyler Thomas, and on deck is AJ Fairbanks.
Good evening. Thanks for the time. I'm the president and winemaker for two brands, Deerberg Vineyards and Starlane Vineyards. We have two vineyards, one between Buellton and Lompoc and one east of San Ynez. At our peak season of farming, we employ all our own farm workers. We have about 80 people on our team. And we are in favor of the bid. I say ditto to everything so far, which just gives me an opportunity to say something different. And right now our dues are much lower than we'll pay with the bid, and we're happy to pay those extra dollars because we think they'll be levered much more in this scenario. So I just want to tell a brief story, kind of at the risk of upsetting some of my colleagues. I've been here about 12 years, not quite, and I came from Sonoma County, and I was in Napa County before that. When I came down here, I think this industry saw themselves as laid back, and we're more unified. We all get along really well, and quite frankly, no offense, guys, that was not my experience. There was not necessarily fractures, but I was viewed with suspicion. I was coming from the north, and I think that was a disservice to the wine community. And I have seen a tremendous change in the last 12 years. I would say we are more unified. We really have recognized that we all need one another in order to, as Stephen just said, lift the tide up so all ships rise. In my experience, no wine region has succeeded until they've unified. And they've come around a common idea and been willing to fund that and promote it together. And that is exactly what these wineries are saying they want to do now. And I think that's why you should support being included in the bid process and the bid funding. It's a tremendous opportunity for us, and I would kind of liken it. There are certainly dissenters. You know, being unified doesn't mean unanimous, but just like paying taxes, you know, I may not elect or vote for a certain tax, but if it's passed, I pay that tax, right? And I think we are in bulk unified to be able to promote ourselves and promote Solvang as a beneficiary. So thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. AJ Fairbanks, and then on deck is Amy.
Good evening.
Christine?
Good evening. Genuinely, thank you for your time. I know it's getting a bit late this evening, so I'll try to keep this as quick as possible. I actually stand here for the first time in sort of this type of decorum as a proud resident of Solvang, where I raise 10-year-old Charlie, 8-year-old Lila with my lovely wife Leslie. So I consider this a privilege to be sitting in front of you all today and sharing this community with you. It also just so happens that I am in the wine industry. I work in Happy Canyon, specifically at Crown Point Vineyards. And it's, you know, I think in terms of the daily impact that my job has traveling in between, you know, from Solvang to Happy Canyon and back every day, essentially Monday through Friday with some exceptions on weekends. And guests come and visit our property. We're very fortunate that we have, you know, we're on the luxury end of things, but we have guests that visit. And very common, the most common question is, where do I go dine? And I have a short list of restaurants, and many of those restaurants on that list are in Solvang. And it's recently Chef Booty at the Gathering Table. It's a steak restaurant. It's the Lansby. It's countless restaurants that I'm recommending our guests that are buying wine at our winery to come and visit and to dine here. And it really lets you know about the connectivity of our industry and how we all impact each other and how we all feed and work, and there's this symbiotic relationship that exists. And I think in anything in the wine industry, when you start looking at it on a level, when you look at it independently, and I'm independent of this, it can be a very slippery slope. And you think of the wineries in Solvang, and the reality is most of these wineries purchase affordable juice from surrounding areas. The juice comes into Solvang that they purchase at a good price, sometimes in bulk in a lot of situations. Sometimes they're purchasing grapes. They're not all vineyard owners. And those are, our vineyard sells fruit to wineries throughout this county that comes in to this town and into this city, and that is subsequently put on their label that it comes into here. So I really just wanted to convey to you the impact that we have on a micro and macro level of how we work as a community and how essential it is for us all to be united, and that I look forward as a resident who lives here and raises his children to have your support and to support my industry so I have a livelihood in this valley. And secondly, I look forward to continue to send our guests and our people that come to our winery 15 minutes away that aren't in Solvang to come dine at these restaurants and purchase Santa Barbara wine. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy?
Hi there.
And your last name is?
Yeah, my last name is the first name, Christine.
Christine,
Yeah,
okay.
so my name is Amy Christine, and my winery is Holus Bolus, and we have a small vineyard, my husband and I, called the Joy Fantastic. It's located in Lompoc. We have a tasting room in Los Olivos, but we are looking to open a second location here in Solvang. I'm a resident of Solvang. I live just at the second in Elverhoy, just right across from the museum, and so I just want to say ditto.
Thank you, long ditto. That's all the slips I have. Is there, if there's one or two, please, well, that's okay, you can come up. Why don't you go first and you go next? Just introduce yourself at the podium, please.
Hello.
And don't forget ditto is okay.
Okay, ditto is okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Chase Carhart. My family, I know many of you up there. My family and business is Carhart Family Wines. We have a ranch. My family's been here since the early 1950s. We have a ranch in the, I guess, in Solvang, in the limits of Solvang, Rancho San Ynez, and we have a tasting room in Los Olivos. I've been listening to all of this information. Everything you guys have been, that has been talked about so far has been amazing. I just want to say, and a lot of you guys have met, know my family, know my father, know my mother. We're a small, tight family business. And when I am on the board of the Santa Barbara County Vintners Association, by the way. And when this came up, there were a lot of family dinners really discussing this at length, because this is a really serious situation for us as a business, and mainly because my business is 100% direct to consumer. I don't mean to put it, everybody is really important, all the decisions are really important for each individual company, but we are 100% direct to consumer, meaning the impact of this bid is huge specifically for us because we are not distributing. And that's a lot of money for a small family company like us, even if we are, even if we are going to sort of pass that on to the consumer. It's still a lot of money that could be going into our pocket to do our own marketing efforts, right? But the discussions that I've had with my dad, who was in his 70s, and I really want to speak a little bit about some of the marketing quickly that you were discussing. I brief him regularly, which is the joy of my day. I brief him on all the different technologies that are out there for marketing, right? It's not just all of the digital marketing that I talk about. There is the print marketing. There is the old school, if you want to call it that, the maps, all these different things. It's very important. All of it is very important. There's only so much that we can do as a small family business. And I would consider myself, I've been working in marketing for our company for over a decade. There's only so much we can do. This bid gives us the opportunity as a community to put the funds in the hands of all of us and be able to talk through all of our different marketing efforts. And ultimately, yes, it is a rising tide that lifts all ships. So I just want to tell you that I've put a lot of thought into it. My family's put a lot of thought into it. We are a family that is all about hospitality and showing the people of the world what it means to be a part of the San Ynez Valley. So I urge you guys to support this bid. It's really important.
Thank you.
And you talk well to 70-year-olds.
We had another individual that wanted to speak in that cap. Yeah, I know Chase from family school. So. And your name and...
Hey guys, my name is Luke Sundquist. I am the owner of Cali Love Wine in Solvang and Jalopy Wine Company in Solvang. Both businesses that have been around for about 10 years here. I'm very much all for the marketing of this region and for the unity of the wine community. My apprehensions about this are basically the forced inclusion of everyone to have to be a part of the alliance. I think there are about 320 wineries in Santa Barbara right now. And Allison, how many are in the Vintners Association? About 150. So, and this is an organization that's been around for about 40 years, and everyone knows that they have the opportunity to pay dues to be a member. So, I'm just here to mention, I think, a lot of the silent, maybe silent majority of the wineries that aren't here and aren't cognizant of the way the proceedings are going. And as I said, I'm all for marketing of this region. I'm just a little apprehensive about the forced inclusion for everyone to pass this 1% on to the consumer, basically. So, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Luke. That's Tracy Beard. Don't forget, ditto's okay.
Yes. I'll make a ditto on a lot. This marketing and promotion, it's a guaranteed marketing presence, ditto on everything else. Guaranteed consumer outreach, enhances the tourism impact. It's an economic development driver for this community in tourism, and we need to have this right now. It sustains local impact. I don't care what anybody says. It's about maps, maps, maps. And you heard that earlier in your thing. That's all we give away. I have one map still, and I Xerox it all the time for people. It is the number one thing people want when they come. Complementary goals. It is distinct from other BIDs. And I know we may run one at some day in this community, but it's very different. We need to have this. We need to protect Solvang's reputation, and Solvang needs to be part of this. We don't want to be isolated. We do not want to be isolated. We are the wine industry, and we are the heart of Santa Barbara County, and we're the heart of the wine industry. So remember that. We are the walking wine industry. Financial feasibility. It's all about return on investment. And she already told you there were no dues that would be enhanced anymore. It's based on what you're selling. If your wine isn't selling, you're not going to pay a lot. If it's selling and you're doing well, you're going to help out. But everybody's going to have a vote. And that's what we have to remember. And it's about maps, maps, maps. And I have to tell you, I love that. And remember that. It's not about isolation for Solvang. It's about we want to be on the map. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the extent of the slips that we have. Is there anybody on Zoom that had a comment? None? Okay, we're going to close public comment then, seeing no more. And then we'll bring it back to discussion for our board.
I can tell you that I belong to a lot of wine clubs. I drink too much wine. Somebody said no. And I have a couple friends that are wine owners, and not always have been in favor of the Vintners Association with the dues, but this they are in favor of. So I'm for it. You're up.
Well, I think you all know I've been in the wine business for a long time. I don't own a winery, I don't make wine, but I certainly have represented some wineries around here. And I think it's key to this community and has contributed to tourism. What I like about this bid is it doesn't impact city staff, it doesn't impact residents. I mean, this is an assessment on people buying wine. I think wine is a luxury item, and I think if I'm going to spend $50 on a bottle of wine, I'm happy to spend 50 cents more. People come to Solvang to spend money, to relax, to go to wonderful restaurants, and I think that they're on vacation. They're going to sort of loosen their purse strings and spend some money. I think the amount of support for this is overwhelming. I have been out there talking to a lot of people about this, and I'm hearing that this is a good thing for the community. This is, people in my district want this, and I'm District 3, so I'm downtown, so I know the tasting rooms. I'm not getting a lot of feedback on anything negative. I just think this is a good thing, so I'm all in.
I'm going to say ditto. It's almost 9 o'clock and you all are here, and I really appreciate that you all are here. Do you have any comments?
Okay. Yeah, I think because it's industry-wide and industry promoted and doesn't have a administrative cost or anything to ourselves, and I'm not seeing a negative side. I understand that the mandatory inclusion, but that's actually true of a lot of industries. So I appreciate that comment. At this time, I'll make a motion to approve the bid item 8B, if there's a second.
And I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 8B. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Rona absent. Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Who's buying the wine?
Nice job, guys.
Fortunately, he could do that after we voted, but he can do it before we vote. Any closing comments before we adjourn? There's nothing else on the agenda. I want to go ahead.
I'm new to this, so I'm still a sponge. I'm trying to learn as much as I possibly can about this lovely city that I live in for the past 16 years. So I am absolutely honored to be up here and to be the voice of District 3 and for all of Solvang. I hope you reach out to me if you have questions or you have comments or just want to have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. I'm amicable about that. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. I'm very grateful. I'm very honored to be up here, and I really hope I do a good job for everyone.
Not bad for a rookie, huh? Yeah, pretty good.
Should we just say drink more wine?
Time for it. We are now adjourned at 8:55.